So Michael was a young boy. Life tries to give him a heart of stone. He lived 9 to 5, and he worked his fingers to the bone. Just barely out of school, he came from out of town. With his fists named frickin' Frack, he fought like a switchblade so no one could take him down. He had no money, no good at home. With his pet rat, he walked the streets a soldier, and he fought the world alone. And so now it's 18 in life. Yeah, you got it. 18 in life, you know. His crime was time, and he's 18 with life to go. What's going on, everyone? This is Ace, and welcome back to The Reckoning, where we talk all things Chaos and Coffin comics. And we have an exciting one here today, as I not only get to talk to you all about a brand new character, but one that is already shaping up to be one of the most badass yet to hit the pages of Coffin comics. So by now you all have seen the title of this video and know that the character I will be covering today is Mike Morgue, who sometimes goes by Mad Mike, but whose real name is Mike Morana. This is the latest and greatest creation by none other than Brian Pulido, as we are ever expanding the world and universe of Lady Death, and Mike here is no exception to this. He will be added to the amazing roster of awesome and exhilarating characters coming straight out of Coffin comics. And for me personally, I am extremely hyped for this character for a number of reasons that I will be getting into shortly, and share with all of you on why I believe that Mike Morgana, or Mike Morgue, has the potential to not only be an outstanding character, but offer a fun, gruesome, and just metal-ass story for all of us to enjoy. But before I get too deep into it, feel free to give this video a like, hit that subscribe button, click the bell as well, so that way you don't miss out on any of the Lady Death, Lady Satanis, and yes, of course, Mike Morgue content to come. Your love and support for the channel means so much to me, you guys, and honestly, I can't thank you enough. And so with all that being said, let's begin. And where to begin indeed. I think as a starting off point, we will go over what we have seen of Mike Morgue up to this point, as even though the Kickstarter that has recently launched is his very first issue, going over his origin story and a perfect jumping on point for all of us. But it is not, however, his first appearance. You see, up to this point, we have been given Ashken cover art, trading cards, and his first couple of scenes within the chapters of Lady Death, and specifically during the Coffin Comics event Deathocalypse, which for our purposes we will be looking at Lady Death chapters 13, Cataclysmic Majesty, and chapters 14, Sacrificial Annihilation. Now, just to give you all some context of what's going on at this point in time within the pages of Lady Death, she, along with warriors and other supernatural beings across many worlds within the Infinityverse, are banding together to take on one of her most fiercest enemies yet, Insurrectus, the apocalyptic multi-universe crushing threat that has been awakened. He was constructed and or birthed from within hell, and it was actually Lucifer who wished to create the powerful being in order to fight off the forces of heaven when the time came for the war between heaven and hell. But for whatever reason, Satanis would discard Insurrectus and abandon the idea of utilizing him completely, and therefore the being would be locked away deep within the earth, to never be awoken. But of course, he's here, and he has caused several rifts within many universes, and his demonic, grotesque, violent children, otherwise known as the progeny, are spreading across the different worlds to either abduct the most powerful beings within those universes to power his ultimate weapon, or just to slaughter and kill everything in sight. The progeny are just so massive in number, calling them an army doesn't even seem to do it justice. It's more like an infestation of death that just consumes all life in its path. There is so much more to be said about the progeny, as they have their own unique characteristics even within themselves. They vary in powers, strength, physical appearance, and while they are children of Insurrectus, some have higher rank than others, but that will be a video for another time. Because for this story, Insurrectus and the progeny will learn that the many universes will not go down without a fight, and this will lead to a very, should I say, Avenger-esque battle consisting of hundreds of heroes, anti-heroes, and just powerful beings who aren't quite ready to see the destruction of everything as we know it take place. In other words, they won't be consumed by the darkness of the void, at least not without giving it a fight to the bitter end. And I bring all of this up because we can see our boy Mike Morgue joining in with the many warriors and the Sworn, Lady Death's team of supernatural beings, to take on the Progeny and Insurrectus head on. I will say, if you guys want to know what happened and how Deathocalypse concludes, then I'd highly encourage you to read all those chapters. There are a lot of awesome fight scenes, creative characters, and truly a lot occurs in Lady Death's story within these chapters that play some major roles going forward. But taking our attention back to Mike, besides helping the Sworn and technically fighting side by side with Lady Death against the forces of Insurrectus, although I don't believe the two ever exchanged any words with each other, but he also was holding his own against the group of progeny that hunted him down and found him at his place of work, the cemetery. And it is here before the grandiose climactic battle with Insurrectus where we have our first appearance of Mike Morgana. Now, for our brief introduction to the character, I invite you all to join me in the northwest side of Chicago, and within the decrepit gates of the local cemetery, we find our guy. Taking a well-deserved break, just vibing out and bumping some sick-ass heavy metal tunes. Unfortunately though, Mike's boss, Mr. Dorbinski, isn't having any of it and wakes Mike up. "Damn it, Morgana, I don't pay you to sleep on the job. Wake your ass up and get to work, and get rid of that stinking rat." Now, Mike's alert but not startled, as this is probably not the first time that he has been screamed at by his boss, and instead, he simply replies, "But Ratzo's my friend, Mr. Dorbinski." "Well, keep him out of my sight." As Mike continues to work and shoveling that dirt, cause honestly being a gravedigger is no easy job, he starts venting his frustrations to his friend Ratzo. "Man, Mr. Dorbinski just doesn't get us, Ratzo. I mean, he is the only one that would give us a job, so I guess we should be grateful." "More work and less talk, Morgana. And stop listening to that damn heavy metal music. It'll rot your brain." Just then, Ratzo crawls up to Mike's ear. "That Mr. D is a real schmuck, Morgue. We gotta level up." In a flash of rage, Mike's body transforms, and the flesh from his fists begin to melt away, as a dark and greenish energy seems to surround them, almost acting as a type of fire. Mike, out of frustration, yells, "That's mad Mike Morgue to you, Mr. Dumbassky." Yeah, what he said. But wait, Mike, you know Mr. D can't hear you, right? So this is our first glimpse into the world of Mike Morgue, the 18-year-old kid who's had a rough life and experienced hardships, but seems to be grounded to some degree. He's a master of patience, and he doesn't let his annoying boss get under his skin, and is able to hold his frustration inside pretty good, it seems. But with his friend Ratzo's encouragement, Mike, like all of us, needs to blow off some steam from time to time. And we all definitely have had that one annoying, micromanaging boss that never can say one good thing. Now, we do see Morgana again as the progeny have found his location within the graveyard. During this time of Insurrectus' invasion, Ratzo is a little on edge. He can feel something not right and expresses this to Mike. He says he can feel something watching them, and maybe it's those Frankenstein freaks. But Mike is trying to chillax at the moment and says Ratzo's just paranoid. But just then, a group of progeny known as the Grick Stalkers tear through the shadows. Whoa, what the fuck? It's not the Frankenstein freaks, Mike. And Mike, looking at the horrific sight in front of him, can only say one thing. Damn, that's badass. The Stalkers tell Mike that their Lord Insurrectus has claimed his head, and that for whatever reason, they will show their mercy by killing him quickly, if he doesn't fight back. They also express how pathetic they view humanity, and how weak they seem to think we all are.
"We promise to make your execution quick if you submit now."
Yeah, that ain't happening, you stuck-up ass-face. Yeah, douche nozzle. Let me introduce you to a couple of buddies of mine. Meet Frickin' Frack, my kill fists. Hate to say it, but you guys are Bush League pussies. Took more of a beating when I was in the pits at the Slayer farewell shows. Mike is able to tear the progeny apart and defeat them, but unfortunately his victory is met with Mr. Dorbinski getting after him some more. "Damn it, Morgana, I didn't hire you to make all that racket. Keep it down or you're fired." Easy, Ratzo, easy. I know Mr. D is an ass and all, but he took us in when he didn't have to. And we got a good low-key thing going here, so let's not mess it up. Ratzo, in agreement, says, yeah, after what they did to me, I don't want to go back to the Frankenstein factory. Now, fun fact about Ratzo is, while Mike named his kill fists Frick and Frack, Ratzo, not to be outshined, decided to name his little kill paws Shits and Giggles. So anyways, back to Mike. He is curious, however, after the attack about what these monsters were and decides to step out for the night to see what's going on. As you can all imagine, the city of Chicago is being overrun by these grotesque progeny, and so Mike decides to go to work and help whoever he can. He sees some women being attacked and immediately steps in to protect them. As he's slaughtering the progeny with his kill fist, he makes a heroic declaration that he doesn't care if the world is ending. He's not going to let these monstrosities kill and eat the people of his adopted hometown. He apologizes to the women for all the violence, and Ratso chimes in as well. Hello, ladies. It looks like Mike and his heroic antics may have earned him some company for the rest of the apocalypse. Now that is everything we have seen of Mike Morgue up to this point, within the canon of Lady Death. But the start of his Kickstarter, and may I add already reached its goal Kickstarter, we all have the chance to dive headfirst with Coffin Comics into the new story. I will be putting the link to the Kickstarter down below so that all of you can head on over to be some of the first to enjoy this first issue. But I can dive a bit more into what we can expect, as Brian and the fine folks over at Coffin have shared some more insight. So as for the story itself, Brian has mentioned multiple times that this is his monster story, even some of the earlier beginnings taking inspiration from Frankenstein, and leading us to who I would assume is the antagonist of our story, Edward Rigsdale, or Dr. Rigsdale. He has been trying to capture the essence of life, which he believes can be accomplished through lightning, and by doing so, he would be able to find a way for eternal life. However, he is not necessarily doing this for selfish reasons alone, as Dr. Rigsdale's love interest, Rose, seems to have a borderline incurable and ultimately fatal disease, and so he is desperate to try to find a cure, but within his desperation, his efforts have led him down the path of the warped, shameful, and grotesque. He has experimented on countless people, it sounds like, and unfortunately for our boy Mike and his metal-loving friends, they are his next victims. The horror facility in which Dr. Rigsdale conducts his experiments is nicknamed the Frankenstein Factory, and this would be the place that Ratso was referring to earlier, for you see, Ratso really does talk, and actually isn't Mike's pet at all, but his friend Riley, who was placed into the body of a rat. Mike's fate/torture was a bit more complex, however, as he would be killed again and again and again until he reached a state of perpetual unlife, and would have obtained supernatural abilities, as we've seen primarily his kill fists, which need to do just that, kill, in order to prevent the spread of the necro energy, as it will consume the remainder of Mike's body. And if this happens, that very well may be the end of Mike Morgana. One thing to also note is Brian has referred to Mike as a transformative character and made some subtle comparisons to that of the Incredible Hulk from Marvel Comics. Mike is this 18-year-old kid, but once the kill fists are enacted, he transforms into the powerful Mike Morgue that we have seen in action. Now, Mike and Ratso would be able to escape the facility, leave New Jersey, and head to Chicago, which is where we met him. But Dr. Rigsdale isn't going to give up so easily. He will be sending his decrepit, zombified, murderous, and psychotic monstrosities after Mike and Ratso. Okay, recording. Okay, what's going on, everyone? And hey, sorry, just interrupting the video here real quick because while I was editing, basically what I noticed was a few discrepancies of kind of like the original setting within Mike Morgue's story. So basically what I was originally going off of was the trading card that we had received a little while back, and even in some of the previous Lady Death chapters that I mentioned, Mike Morgue does refer to Chicago as his adopted hometown. So that's what I was originally going off of, but after getting some insight on the preview pages for Mike Morgue's story, the story might actually all take place within Illinois or maybe surrounding areas of Chicago, basically like where he is abducted, where he meets his metal friends, all of that. So there could be some changes. I don't know if New Jersey is still playing a factor into it, but it could. I just wanted to bring that to your guys' attention just because it's just something I noticed, and it is minor, but that's that's kind of my job to notice these kind of things. So I just wanted to lay that out to you guys. That's why I do refer to New Jersey in this video, but we will just have to wait and see. But yes, I hope you guys are enjoying the video, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. Back up Mike Morgue. It's on Kickstarter now. Go get your pledge in, get your copy. This is going to be an exciting, awesome story, so definitely. Thank you guys for watching the video, and I will see you very soon, okay? Sworn. Now there's a lot more detail within the preview videos, but I would say if you want more, then make sure you get your Kickstarter pledge in and or watch some of the Coffin Comics videos about the campaign and hear it from Brian firsthand. My thoughts on the character Mike so far is that he is very likable. He comes from a home which unfortunately was not so loving of him, and quite honestly due to things out of his control. But even so, he is a very empathetic character. Knowing that he sees wrong or trouble, he wants to do what he can to help, like the example we saw earlier. However, this makes him a tragic character, as how can someone with Mike's heart and empathy have to kill numerous times for his own survival and to keep the kill fist necro infestation from spreading? I'll be very curious to watch Mike's journey, as I truly get a sense of sincerity from the character and desire to be mature even if he isn't quite there. I mean, after all, he is only 18. There is still so much of life, or maybe unlife, that he can experience, and hopefully it will be a better view than what he has seen so far. But that is more of my hope for Mike in the future, because it doesn't seem like we will be getting that anytime soon, as we are only in chapter 1. And Dr. Rigsdale is still out there looking for him. Lastly, just as a minor point in this video, I would like to mention some of the comparison to Brian's other creations and stories. First off would be none other than Evil Ernie. I mean, this one is a no-brainer, you guys. And I'm sure a lot of people out there would immediately head that direction when it comes to comparison, and honestly, I don't blame them. But it needs to be said that Ernest Fairchild and Mike Morana are totally different characters, and I get it. I mean, the graveyards, having that youthful, rebellious energy, the metal aesthetic, even the color green can make one want to open their Straight to Hell issue #1 and be like, there he is! But no. And honestly, I'll let Brian sum this up briefly in his own words.
Now, Mike Morgue doesn't really have much in common with a character like Evil Ernie, but what he does have is a storyline that is filled with ultra-violence, some comedy, and heart. And of course, my love of heavy metal and aggressive music and aggressive novels, aggressive comics, aggressive imagery like that is all influential.
Exactly. I think this is the perfect description of what we can expect. And it's hard to describe in words, but I see comments from Sworn members saying they've been waiting for so long for this story, and some even saying things like it feels like the Chaos days. And I do think it's that window, or at least realm of story, that Chaos Comics not only kicked off, but were so successful with, and an excellent showcase of. It's this type of story that has been missing in comics in a way, and with Mike coming into the picture, it feels like a return to that, and it's got me smiling ear to ear. So to follow up, this is not the Evil One story, but there is a energy and I guess monster story element that the both had in common, and is being brought back with Mike. Brian back in the Chaos days called the story of Evil Ernie a monster story from day one. And that's even why the character had to pass away for a time. Originally, Evil was never meant to go on forever and ever. The last thing about Evil Ernie's story was within his monthly issues, there was a now retconned flashback of Evil Ernie's childhood, where it was believed that Smiley, the psychotic button, and Ernie's best pal, was previously a house rat that was Ernest Fairchild's only friend. So I'm sure some of you can find some similarities with that. And now the not so talked about comparison that I will bring up, and I have to say is purely my own assumption. Okay, I'm the only one making this connection, at least for now. So I want to make that clear, as Brian nor anyone from the Sworn have brought this up, but a few weeks ago I discovered an old lady death trading card set with some characters that were a part of the Chaos Comics universe, and some of these characters never even had their own book. And so it's my pleasure to bring up the character Nada. Essentially, he is an oil field worker out of New Jersey, but get this, he was an ex-morgue worker and was able to speak to the dead. Oh, and this ability to talk to the dead labeled Nada as a necronaut. Now, he would get caught up within the dead states of America, which were the areas of the United States, primarily the East Coast and the South, that had been overrun with the dead ones and taken over by Evil Ernie. It sounds like Nada was going to need to use his survival skills and his rare ability of talking to the dead to not only escape the dead states, but also to discover and shed light on some some of these strange happenings that were caused by a character known as Charnel. Obviously, Charnel didn't want this, and so he would be sending his cyber ghouls after Nada to protect his secrets. Tell me this doesn't sound kind of familiar. And Charnel's laboratory is considered a house of horrors where the undead are rebuilt by the Cybromancer. Cross-grafting, cloning, and cyber-enhancing the dead, Charnel has legions of ghouls which are extremely powerful and dangerous. Now, apparently Charnel was able to obtain this technology by stealing a prototype of the microchip used by none other than Dr. Price, and the resistance against Evil Ernie. As long as the microchip is implanted into the rotting brains of the dead ones, this will allow Charnel to be their new master, and they will do his bidding. And let's take a good look at Nada, and I don't know about you guys, I can kind of see a little Mad Mike here and there. But anyways, that's everything we know about the story of Nada, and man, so many awesome similarities that I couldn't believe what I was discovering, and I didn't even know about this lore from the Chaos universe until stumbling upon that trading card. So I just had to share with all of you because I thought it was pretty cool, and who knows, maybe there is no connection at all, and if not, that's totally fine, as if we ever get a Nada and Charnel story in the future, you already know I'd be jumping at the chance to read it. But yes, with comparisons out of the way, a rundown of what Mike has been up to within the pages of Lady Death, and a little insight on what we can expect from Mike Morgue Chapter 1, Necromorphosis. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this brief overview of the character Mike, and whose Kickstarter is going on at the time of this recording. You can still take part, or if it's in the future, then head on over to Coffin Comics' website and get your copy. The last thing I have to say that truly brings a smile to my face is just the excitement and powerful energy you can feel from Brian and the whole Coffin Comics team. I was watching the Kickstarter kickoff video live last week, and you can tell how much Brian is giving his all into this story. It looks like he is just having so much fun and happy to get this story off the ground, and that energy is spread throughout the entire facility and can even be felt by us Sworn. And I think that will be reflective of this story that I hope we can enjoy for so many years to come. But I'll leave it here, you guys, and I want to thank you again for watching and supporting the channel. Please leave your comments down below. Let me know what your thoughts are on Mike Morgue and the new addition to Coffin Comics. This is The Reckoning. Stay sworn, and until next time, take care.